Today, we'll be discussing the August Week 3 Yeezy restocks, those of which we went over in a video last week. Meanwhile, Week 4s are currently finishing up. Specifically, we'll be discussing whether you should sell or hold the pairs you got from these recent drops and restocks. Preface this, if you guys enjoy these types of videos, are good on the market, reselling, and even info on how to acquire these limited products, be sure you subscribe and enable post notifications. This way you're always 100% updated. Furthermore, for more urgent updates like shock drops and Sitelists, follow my Twitter KeithAdam10. This way you're always in the loop 24/7 whenever there is a restock, shock drop, etc. For early information before the shock drops, release guides, and much more, even beyond sneaker reselling, Endurance always has your back. You can feel free to join with the link in the description below if you want to start reselling more things outside of just sneakers. For those who don't know, Yeezys have been restocking again. These are just the leftover pairs from prior Adidas releases, along with newly released pairs that were supposed to release early, but were postponed due to the split up. Considering there were so many pairs, we're not going to be doing a full detailed analysis on every single one. Rather, I'm going to explain my general thoughts, as well as a brief seller hold rating for each of the pairs, just like what we did for the prior restocks. First, the most important and obvious thing to note overall is that these are most likely the last of stock we'll be seeing for these models, and even if we do see another restock on them in the future, it's not going to be a significant amount of stock. This is obviously a very important factor considering the dead stock supply in the market will continue decreasing as more people wear their pairs. That is unless, of course, Kanye and Adidas reunite. This is a luxury that we don't have when it comes to most sneakers, considering even Jordan retros could simply be re-retroed in several years, as we've seen time and time again. Not to mention, restocks can happen randomly on Jordan reserves, like what we saw on the white cement Jordan 3s. On top of this, just like what we saw on Yeezy Day and the prior large restocks, with a very large influx of pairs going into circulation all at once, you could certainly expect a lot of panic selling to occur within the first 20 days. At this point, when you get your shipments in, they're going to be at their lowest point. Hence, it would be reasonable to expect, just like following Yeezy Day, the majority of the highly demanded pairs should increase over time in both the near term and especially the long term following the first 3 weeks. However, this does not apply to all them, as some of them simply will not have sufficient demand to see notable movement in general. Hence, I'm going to give some brief ratings out of 10 for each of the pairs regarding which are the best to hold. We'll go in no particular order. First, the Yeezy 350 Hyperspace. These used to be an Asia exclusive way back when they first released, and actually used to go for a pretty penny. However, they actually restocked on Yeezy Day 2 worldwide, and consequently plummeted in value to about retail price. Following that, they increased again over the next year back to around $280 until restocking again, just now bringing them back to even lower around $220. Going forward, I'd expect the same sort of pattern. At best, within a year, these could climb back to about $280. Nothing too special about these anymore, as they're no longer Asia exclusive. If this hypothetically does occur, that's a 25% ROI, which isn't bad. Long term, I don't see any reason these should perform above the average 350 though, so I'd still rate these just slightly below average at 4.5 out of 10. Next, the Yeezy Slide Slate Gray. These are currently at the same price they started out following their initial release, and back then they proceeded to increase to over $200. Now granted, there are many more colorways similar to this pair now, which reduces the demand for this particular PID, but nonetheless, I'd still expect them to increase at least a fraction of what they had in the past. What makes these and other slides such amazing holds is that the starting value is so low, allowing for really great ROIs very easily. If these hypothetically increase to just $140 within a year, which I think is very possible by next summer, that's a 40% ROI, amazing. Perhaps even after several years they'll be back at $200 or more, making it a 100% or more ROI. I'd have to rate these an 8 out of 10 hold, considering they're starting off so low in value, especially as a near all-black Yeezy slide. I really think that these slides are presenting good opportunities for holding long term. Next up, the Yeezy 350 Dark Salt. Not only is this not one of the colorways made by Kanye, reducing demand, but it's not the nicest 350 colorway either, and this is clearly reflected in the very low demand we're seeing right now. They're even sitting below retail. Despite the starting price being lower than other 350s, leaving room potentially for a better ROI, because of the low demand, I'd still have to rate these below average at 4 out of 10 because I'm not really expecting much notable movement. Still better than compact Yeezys and knit runners though. Next, we have the Yeezy 700 Wave Runner. Who doesn't love these? Not only is demand insane for them, but so is stock too, with their countless restocks. Nonetheless, after every restock, they always seem to creep back up in value because there's just so much demand for the original Yeezy 700 colorway. In the future, I don't see why this would change. I'd expect the same pattern to continue. With that said, if they get back to what they were at before this restock, perhaps around $460 on average, assuming your pair is about $380 when you get them in, then that would only be a 20% ROI though. So the problem is the value is just so high on these. Despite amazing demand in general and them always creeping back up, the ROI still isn't amazing. Now, on the other hand, these have a lot of long-term potential. Several years in the future, considering these are the true original Yeezy 700 and have really insane demand. With that said, I'd rate them slightly above average at 5.5 out of 10, and if your pair is less than $380 by the time you get them in, then even higher, since there'd be more room for a better ROI, so perhaps 6 out of 10 for your case. Then we have the Yeezy 700 Utility Black. These actually appreciated quite well from a low starting point, even back before the COVID stimulus, and before the recent restock they were really high in value. I don't expect them to return to those prices for a very long time, but with prices this low for 700 right now, I do think that there is room for them to appreciate even within a year. If these got back to say $290, that would be also a 20% ROI, which again isn't amazing, but it isn't bad. Long term, I don't see the same potential that these would have as the Wave Runners, of course, but still something decent nonetheless. So overall, I'd rate them just slightly below average at 4.5 out of 10, similar to the Hyperspace. We were supposed to discuss the Yeezy 700 Quantum High-Res Orange, but they didn't have their full drop, so we're going to wait a little bit for those. Like the other Quantums, though, I don't have high expectations as of now. We'll see. The Yeezy 950 is a pretty unique one, since sale volume is so low. Nonetheless, if you wait long enough and are patient, you probably will be able to make a decent return based on the sales of the older pairs. However, I'd still rate them below average at 3 out of 10 though, mostly because you'd have to be really patient, and there's a chance you might not even be able to sell at the price you list them at when you want to, because the volume is just so low, and I think this should degrade the quality of this hold. Still better than compacts though. We also saw the Desert Sand and Foam Runners drop, but we'll be covering those in the Week 4 video for Yeezys next week. Anyway, that's all I have for you guys today. Soon we'll be doing those Week 4s. Remember, you can now join Endurance with the link in the description below for a limited time if you're looking to prepare for more of these restocks or even broaden your horizons as a reseller to other markets outside of just sneakers. Subscribe to stay 100% updated on Yeezy releases and any other hype sneakers. With that said though, have a fantastic rest of your day, and of course, good luck on the upcoming releases.
You can now let with your own fella. Where did that bring you? Back to me.